Asaf Darash is founder and CEO of Regpack, an online registration and payments platform powering modern, configurable enrollment experiences worldwide. With that, Asaf, I'd like to welcome you to the stage.
Thank you for having me. Great. So, I want to talk to you today about a bit of one of the important things that Regpack does. It helps organization create automation in their processes. Um, so we'll just start. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that we work with a lot of organizations, thousands of organizations use Regpack every single day. A lot of people, just to explain what Regpack does, the best way to think of Regpack is Shopify for services. Services have unique needs, and a normal e-commerce system does not work for services. Services can be anything from schools, events, camps, doctors' offices. Think about anything that is service based. And Regpack supplies the different tools that allow them to do that in a very good way. One of the things that Regpack does very, very well is automation for these processes that are connected um, to to the service-based businesses. A lot of times we see a lot of friction with these organizations where they don't want automation because they don't want to lose the human touch and they don't want to lose the flexibility and so forth. And I want to present this as something that we do with a lot of organization and might be educational for most people. And if anybody wants to take it a step further, they're welcome to. Um, so the reason that automation is so important today is the first and most important thing is the rising expectations that clients have from organizations. They expect everything to be seamless, to be easy, to be fast. A lot of times we talk to organizations and we tell them when you're onboarding someone, think that they have 10 tasks that they need to take care of. Probably they have some family issues that they need to take care of. And at the same time, they're trying to onboard to your business. It needs to be simple. It needs to be fast. So these demands from organizations create a lot of work for administrators to make sure that everything is flowing, to make sure that everything is hyper personalized. The result of that, if you don't use automation, is that your team, most of the time, is just doing grunt work. It's just taking care of day-to-day issues that could be taken care of by a computer. The bigger result is that you as an organization, and obviously your people, are not growing. What happens is that as the processes grow and the amount is condensed, everything gets fragmented. Grunt work is basically something that most people do every single day, and it really affects the organization as a total. The breakdown happens when there's too much repetition. Administrators are just repeating the same actions again and again and again just to make sure that everything works. Most of the actions are manual. Reminders, installment payments, eligibility information, all that becomes manual. And a lot of the employees become what we call human calculators. They're just working as if they're on a computer where there's no reason for that to happen. You're not using the capacity that these employees can bring to the table. That's one. And more importantly, your end users, your clients that are going through the process are frustrated because they don't understand why there needs to be so much interaction for something so simple. From the organizational perspective, again, the creativity is the thing that is hurt the most. Because once you are just doing grunt work and manual work that can be automated, you don't have time to do the more essential work that humans can do. Thinking of new abilities for the organization, thinking of improvements, working on projects that can change the way that people interact with you. So how do you do automation without becoming a faceless bureaucratic organization that your users feel like they're in this box that they can't get out of? The first thing to think about is that you want to automate only the common case. The common case is the path that most users go through. For every organization, probably if you think about it for not more than 5 minutes, you will understand what is the common situation that most of your clients go through. Some of the clients will go through a very complex situation where let's say they order multiple services and do multiple things for various family members and maybe companies with employees and so forth. And that could be the common case for one organization, but it could be that the common case is one person coming in, selecting the services and paying. And that's what you want to automate, not the overall process, not to think of every single end case that happens and say, how do I automate every single situation where basically I don't need to do anything? No, the idea is to free up most of the time, to free up most of the interaction. And then you basically have the ability to take care of those end cases that need human intervention. Again, so how do you automate in a right way? You first think about the common case. The second thing is you need to create intentional workflows. These workflows need to be connected, obviously, to the common case, to how the progress or how most people will go through the process. The thing that is most important when automating the common case is that you want to automate your policies. And this is the big difference. You do not want to automate the process itself. You want to automate the policies that are connected to what is allowed and what is not allowed. For example, eligibility of participating in a course. For example, health information that you need to gather in specific situations. Another example is installment payments that are allowed only for specific groups of people. So these policies that are set by your organization, they need to be automated for the common case. What this leaves is a huge room for creativity and connection between your team and your clients. Because right now, what happens when you take that common case off the table, a lot of time frees up and people can just focus on what they need to do. So let's again talk about what is the common case, because this is how you will automate in the best possible way. Think about the path most taken, okay? The path that most people go through, the path that most people do. Think about repeatable processes that your team does. Okay, if your team sends out reminders every week for a non-payment, or let's say they charge payments for installments every single day or every single week, these are repetitive tasks that can be automated because they're part of the common case. It's something, and it would be very, very easy to understand what this is. Just talk to your team and they'll tell you very quickly what are the repetitive tasks that they do every single day or every single week. The common case is also the foundational workflow for your organization. If you take the common case out of your organization, you probably have a major issue in terms of user interaction with your organization, revenue, and so forth. And the last thing that I would say that makes the automation good enough for this 90% of the flows that people go through is to allow branching through conditional logic, through if-then situations. Think of it like this: if you want to automate the policy of eligibility, there are different policies for let's say youth, for teens, and for adults. You need to be able to select a system that is able to do that branching, because otherwise your common case is very, very limited. One of the important things to understand is that when you do automation in the right way through common case scenarios, you're not creating a rigid organization. Quite the opposite. You're allowing your organization to become actually a lot more flexible. First of all, anything that is predictable just happens on its own. The routines, the policies, the repeatable tasks, they just happen on their own. The humans come in when they want to handle exceptions. So this is the exact opposite of being rigid. When an exception happens, someone from the team comes in and is able to take care of that specific situation, is able to assess, to decide if the policy does not apply in this specific situation, and then it obviously the system needs to be enable that administrator to override the automation. So let's say the eligibility abilities are set into what programs people can apply to and could add themselves to. If you create that automation in a system that does not have override abilities, then yes, you created a very rigid situation. You shot yourself in the foot, because now if a situation comes up that you don't want to apply the policy because any number of reasons, you need to be able to override the automation and allow the administrator to do the actions that they need to do. That means that the administrators can have a human touch, and the end cases, the special cases that happen, get amazing service. And again, the exact opposite of being rigid. They talk to the people, they understand them, they connect with them, and then once they understand what is needed and what is not needed, they can override. The best way to think about this is that the automation system is an assistant, not a manager. And I think this really touches to the point of what a lot of people miss with automation. They try to use automation as something that applies to every single situation, and it forces people to act in a specific way. No, the automation is there to assist your team, and they are still the managers of the process, the managers of the interaction with the people. What happens when you do automation correctly through the common case and everything that we talked about until now? The first thing that is obvious, there's less manual work. Creating time for your teams and so forth. This results in that a lot of these people have time to focus on higher value efforts that that are not basic. They can create new offerings. They can create new processes. They can create new programs. They can cause the organization to grow. Another thing that happens is that anything that was grunt work, that was like I said, human computers, it just stops. And humans can do what humans do best. Humans can connect to one another. Humans can understand analytically things that even AI today is very far from their ability to understand. They can talk to people, and out of conversations with 5 or 10 or even 20 people, understand that there's an underlying issue that they need to address. So basically, they can do what humans do best, right? They can think, they can create, they can connect. And the client experiences for the people that are going through the common case and for the outliers or the end cases, it improves immensely, because the ones that go through the common case just fly through it. They start, they finish, they're done, all good. And now they can connect with the organization, not on bureaucratic information, but on meaning, on essentials, right? The people that are the end cases, because your team has now time, they can actually take care of them in a meaningful and good way. So just to summarize, the 3 things that really change once you implement automation correctly is that client satisfaction goes through the roof, creativity of your team improves immensely, and the organizational and personal growth just happens on its own, since people are doing human work and things that matter more for the organization than doing the things that a computer can do. That's it. Thank you very much, and I hope this was at least a little educational for most people.
Great. Thanks for that wonderful presentation. We're looking forward to the Q&A session coming up right after this on our next panel. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask, just type them into the chat that you see right in front of you.